Om Shri Sai Ram. It's my pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Leonardo Guter. First, I'll go to the bio and then I'll tell some things. There's a lot of things to learn from him. Mr. Leonardo Guter is the chairman of the SSSWF World Foundation and a member of the Prashanti Council of the SSSWF International Organization. He hails from Argentina and has been an ardent devotee of Bhagavan Sai Baba for over 4 decades. He started the Latin America Sai movement in the 1980s and previously served as the chairman of the Zone 2 Latin America of the SSSWF. Mr. Guter is a founding member of the Sai Trust of Argentina. Mr. Guter is a psychologist by profession and represents some of the largest American, European, and Japanese TV and cinema studios in Latin America. We are truly honored to hear him share his wonderful stories on the Leelas of our beloved Swami. 4 decades, you can understand how much experience. Because back in 2000, first time I heard Leonardo, if I count within about an hour and 15 or 20 minutes, he shared about 27 stories. And each one of those stories are so significant and to the heart. It was amazing, and the whole crowd like spellbound. It's just a retreat in the Los Angeles. He was here at that time. It was very inspiring. After that, I can consider that, anytime it's Leonardo, I would be very happy to jump in and listen to him. And I'm talking about 2 decades before. Now, I don't know, countless stories he has. Anytime you ask for stories, I was just spending some time with him while going to the conference. Just a moment, we had the same flight, and so we had, had a little time in the Amsterdam airport, in the lounge. Within that, he said about at least 4 or 5 stories. So it's going to be really a lot of learning, and each story has some kind of understanding. And the most important thing is the way that he brings out those stories and his love for Swami. And one important thing I always look forward to learn from him is that anything about Swami's work is ready immediately to jump in, not one day after, which I do. Right at that moment, immediately will do it. It's amazing that, it's just a lot to understand, lot to learn from him. Let's hear the stories. I don't want to take more time for the adults, so let me ask Brother Leonardo to come on the camera and let us listen to his stories.
Sai Ram, Brother Krishna, thank you for your loving words. I offer my humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Lord and Master Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, who is here now in the hearts of each one of us. So I offer my Sai Ram to all of you. It's for me an honor to be able to speak with you on this occasion as part of the celebration of Guru Purnima. It's a very special day. Actually, I think that we should celebrate Guru Purnima every day of our lives, because we have been blessed with that incredible good karma, the opportunity of being born in this life and having been chosen by Swami as his disciples, but not only as his disciples, also as his instruments. And we have no idea how much we might have worked in so many lives, the intense sadhana we might have done to have this opportunity. We have gone through a very, very long path, since the first time when we appear as a mineral, then a vegetable, then an animal form, then human form, and then many, many lives as a human, till we reach this life when we are aware of the spirit. We are aware that the spirit is the most important thing. And also in this life where we have the Purna Avatar as our guru. I think that the angels of the highest planes must envy us, of this incredible good karma that we have. I would like to refer to this talk as this sentence that we heard so many times: if you give one step towards me, I will give 10, 100 towards you. This is a divine promise. And I will share with you some experiences I had with this regarding this teaching of Swami. But I think that it's very important for us to be constantly aware of how fortunate we are, how blessed we are having the Purnavatar as our master. And if we are able to remember that, we will be living with a smile in our face and bliss in our hearts. It's all the only thing we need is to remember the omnipresence of Swami, how he is above us, below us, around us, and in our hearts all the time. And this is very, very important for me to remember him all the time. This, for me, is a very important spiritual practice, the constant remembrance of his divine presence. If we live like that, our life will be filled with divine miracles. We will be see how the divine plan encompasses our lives, and we will believe in the divine plane, not in the human plane. We have been swimming against the current of the world that goes outside to the prakriti, and in this life we are going inside. So we need to be aware that Swami is constantly with us, protecting us, guiding us, teaching us, loving us. I think that we need to increase our faith and our trust in Swami. Faith that he is the divine incarnation, and trust that he's here for each one of us. He will always be here for us. And this is something that we need to remember. This is, for me, at least in my life, is a key point to remember his constant presence. And also, as I said at the beginning, that we are not only disciples. That means that he's our guru, teaching us how we must go forward to discover our own reality, our true self. But also we are his instruments. That means that we have the duty to share his message with as many people as possible. But we need to share this message every day, not just on one special occasion when we have a public meeting or a meeting with newcomers in the Science Center. Every day of our lives, we need to find the opportunity to share about his teachings with some other human being, because we're giving that person the best help we can. We are helping that person to advance in their spiritual awakening. Guru Purnima is a day of celebration, but it's a day of gratitude to our Divine Master. And the best way for me to express this gratitude is to implement his teachings in our daily lives. For me, one day Swami called me. Suddenly I was sitting in the veranda and Swami called me and asked me, "What is spirituality?" He caught me by surprise, and I said, "To go inward." He very softly slapped my face and sent me back. And then I realized that this is not spirituality. Spirituality is not to join and sing bhajans or participate in study circles or do meditation or do service to the community or work in education in human values. Those are spiritual practices. Spirituality is something to be practiced in our life. It's a way of living, a way of being. Really, spirituality for me is to get rid of bad qualities, to get rid of the ego, the desires, lust, jealousy, envy, anger. This is spirituality, to purify ourselves and let the human values flourish and express themselves in our words, in our actions, in our feelings. We'll see if we are advancing in our spiritual path, if we speak more softly, more lovingly, if we feel more empathy in our hearts, if we feel more love, if we care more for the other people, and if we want to put this love that we receive from Swami in actions of service to the community. That is the only parameter we have to know if we're advancing in this life. Swami has given us the ticket to salvation. We need to grab it and not miss it. I said that I wanted to share with you about this one step to him. He will give 10 steps towards us. And I will start by not the latest experience, because I'm having experiences thanks to Swami very often, but I want to tell you something. It's true, Swami granted many, many experiences to me. I don't know why, but perhaps because I was very skeptic, and he helped me to believe in God, to believe in him. The first time that I was in the ashram, I was overwhelmed with his divine love, with his divine attention. I was in another spiritual organization, and I was in the room. And at that time, I was the vice president of that Raja Yoga organization. But then I felt, if I found the Purna Avatar, I cannot be in another place. I need to be in his sacred organization. So I wrote in a piece of paper my resignation to that position in that other organization. Next morning, Swami came for darshan, but instead of his usual routine, going first to the ladies' side, then to the gents' side, he came straight to me and said, "Yes, I will see you this afternoon." I was in the ashram for 20, 30 days, longing for an interview, but only after I said yes to him, he said yes to me. And this is Swami. He's waiting for us to give the first step. As I was telling you, I had many, many experiences, but the most important in my life are the ones that happened after he left his physical body. And it showed me that Swami is still here with us all the time. He just left some dress that he was using for some time, but he's all the time with us, listening to us, in our hearts, now by my side. And I will tell you one of these experiences. I want to show you something to really explain this. I was carrying with me, when I travel, I carry these calendars. These are like my portable altar. So when I travel, I carry them with me, and every day when I wake up in the morning, I offer my pranams to each one of these. And in the evening, when I go back to sleep, I do the same thing to each one. One day, like 15 years ago, I was coming back from India, going back to Argentina. And suddenly, when I went to the airport to check in, I had to put my clothes to the screening machine. And I had all these calendars in my jacket. When I took it out, the calendars fell. Well, I brought them together. And when I was at the plane, I realized that, this one is one that I like very much, has Swami on one side and Ganesh on the other side. And I like very much the statue of Ganesh, because in the ashram, when I go from my room to darshan, I always go through a garden where this statue is, and I offer my namaskar, my pranams to Ganesh. I love Ganesh very much. But when I was in the plane, I realized that this is part of this thing, is I bought it in the ashram. It's like a address book. But I realized that this Ganesh was missing. It felt. I couldn't get off the plane to go back to get it. And I felt very sorry for that, because I love it very much. 10 years later, 15 years later, no, yes, 10 years later, 15 years later, in my house, I was going to get my car, and there is a table, and over the table there is a picture of Swami, and on the floor it was this Ganesha. It was materialized on the floor of my house 10 years later, in a place where every day we walk. The lady that works in my house ironed the clothes there, so it was a beautiful present from Swami. I thank him so much. A couple of years went on, and on the beginning of this year, I went to a conference, a side conference, and in the evening I was in my room, and I thought about one of the teachings of Swami. And as Krishna said, I don't like to procrastinate. Now, Swami says that everything in the spiritual life It's a combination of consciousness and willpower. Once we know something that has to be done, we need to do it right away. Swami says that we should never try, we must do. Procrastination in the spiritual path is a sin. So I realized that I needed to change something, and I promised Swami I was going to do it. And if you allow me 1 second, I will tell you something about this. One day I was in the veranda. I hope I will not confuse you with changing stories. I was in the veranda and Swami came and spoke with a person seated near where I was seated, by my side. And he told him, from today onwards, don't take more tea or coffee. It was a message for him, not for all of us. But that person replied, Swami, at this moment I stopped drinking tea and coffee forever. That is the attitude. Once we know something, when we read something about Swami, when we read a message or listen to a discourse, and something touches our hearts as true, as important, we must have the determination to do it from this moment onwards forever. So I took that decision that night, and in the morning, I took again all these calendars, and I was kissing and offering my namaskar to each one. And suddenly, when I took this, in the middle of the air, and I saw it floating in the air, appear again this calendar. Not only appear floating on the air, but it went up. Instead of falling, it went up and got stuck to this. This is a divine glue. This is not a magnet. This, as you see, it's after so many years. But this, I saw how it appeared in the thin air and went up. And this is how Swami showed me that he heard my commitment the last night. I can tell you things like that. One day, I don't know how much time we have, but one day I was in the ashram. Another brother told me that he has done something very special. He signed a contract with Swami where he offered his life to him. And he told me that he did it very formally, like a business contract. I, my name hereby, pledge to. And he told me all that. And I said, what a wonderful idea. I will do the same. So I went to my room and I wrote my contract, giving my life to Swami. And, a contract is executed when both parties sign it. That means it's not just that I sign the contract, Swami must accept it. So I said, well, I will not ask him to sign it, but I will give it to him. If he accepts this contract, then it will be executed, it will be final. I went to Darshan, but the problem was that day was the birthday of Swami, November 23rd. And there was a huge crowd, but not only that, I don't remember if it was the president of India or the prime minister was there. So we are not allowed to be seated in the veranda. And there was many security guards there. And not only that, Swami, when he came, instead of giving darshan, went directly to his room in the mandir. So no way to give him my contract. So all the celebration went on, and when it ended, Swami, I stood up and I said I have to give him my contract, and I went directly to the veranda, and there was guards there, but no one stopped me. And I continue till I ended in front of his car, this golf cart that he used to have. And I ended standing there, and when Swami came out of his room, he looked at me, stretched his hand, and got hold of my contract. And then he went to the golf cart with my contract in his hand. So I feel that life is like this. We need to do something. Swami's, all the teachings of Swami, all the books that we can read, all the messages or the discourses we can hear, are not just for our entertainment, are really teachings that we need to put them in our hearts and implement them in our lives. If not, they're of no use at all. So this is the way to really take advantage of the divine incarnation, to listen with carefully to every message, read it and say, how can I do it in my life? Because he's our divine master, teaching us how to reach the goal. He has come here, the most incredible spiritual practical spirituality, I would call. All the teachings, all the spiritual teachings are in his discourses, in his books. We don't need to go to any other spiritual master. Everything is in his teachings. But what we need to do is to understand them and apply them implicitly, immediately in our lives. Then we will advance. I would like to share with you some other experiences because I think that this is what will entertain you more than all the other things. One day, we were in Paraguay in a public meeting in Asunción, the capital of Paraguay, and we were preparing. The organization was not big at that time in Paraguay, but we planned a very big public meeting for 600 people. That at that time in Paraguay was to ask for too much. Anyway, we did our part. But in the morning of that day, started to rain. And to rain like in India when the monsoon is there, it rained like crazy. And we are told that when it rains like that, no one goes out in Asunción in Paraguay. So we thought no one will go to the public meeting. But 1 hour before the time of the public meeting was supposed to start, not only stopped raining, but the sky cleared completely. And people started to come. And we had prepared to give to every people that came to the public meeting one piece of bread. That is a tradition in Paraguay, one piece of bread and a flower. When we had no more pieces of bread and no more flowers, no one else came. But the place was completely crowded. More than 600 people came. But the important thing is that 45 minutes after we finished the public meeting and everybody went back home, it started to rain again. Swami is showing us that we need to do our part and he will do the rest. Another experience I want to share with you is another one related to this of giving one step towards Swami. In the site center of Buenos Aires, we did a lot of service with the homeless children. And we brought them to the center to let them take a shower, clean their clothes, feed them. And also, there were some devotees who taught them human values classes. But those children, they went back to the street, and there they were used by older children to get things to buy drugs. And they came back to the center to steal things from the center because they knew where the recorder was or any other thing that they could sell, and they stole it. We knew that they were the ones that were stealing things. But anyway, we continued our work, our service. But then one day we realized that while these children were teenagers, were living in the streets, they will never change. So we thought about getting a place for them to live. In Argentina, especially at that time, now it's the same thing. The income of the Argentinian people is very low, like, I don't know, $300 per month. At that time was even less. For us to rent a house was not easy. But anyway, we were able to rent a house for those children. But it was a very dilapidated house. Really needed a lot of repairs. So we started to work on that. And one day, one of the devotees, a side devotee, a lady, was working there. And 3 of the children that were supposed to live there were helping them. And she told them to go to the garden in front of the house to remove the earth, to put some flowers. After some time, they came back with a bag. And in the bag were 12 kilograms of pure gold that they found there in the garden. First, they decided to run away, but they told us that later they remembered all the EHP classes they received. They felt it was not right, and they came back with the bag. And a judge decided that the bag belonged to us. And with that gold, we bought 2 houses. One, a community house where those children were going to live, another house that for abused little girls, that the different judges were sent to us. Those girls were sent to us very, very young, 2, 3, 4 years old, and they were raised there. They went to primary school, high school, and then some continued to another levels of studying. But what I want also to tell you is that one of the boys that found the bag with gold, he had a missing leg. And we felt that we had enough money with the gold. We bought a prosthetic leg for him. Then he came and told us that Swami changed his life, and he felt that he wanted one day to meet him, to thank him for all what he has done for him. And there was a group of Argentinians going to the ashram, and we decided to buy a ticket for him. So he went with a group of Argentinians to Prasanthi Nilayam. And Swami gave an interview to the whole group, including him. And Swami said in the interview, it was me who put the gold there. This is Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. This is our dear Lord, our Guru, who is filling our lives with so much love. Another experience I would like to tell you about giving one step towards him. Perhaps many of these experiences you have heard before. I don't know, I really don't know what I told you in other talks, but anyway, it's what comes to my mind. One day before going to India, I had an accident and my nose was broken. And I went to a clinic and they made X-ray and they realized that I have this nose broke, the bone broken. But they told me that I didn't need surgery because the bone was aligned. But it was going to take like 40 or 45 days to heal. I was supposed to go to India 3 days later. I had already my ticket. So I thought what to do. Should I go or should I stay here? And I said, better to go. Better to suffer there than here. It was so painful that I couldn't move my head like this. I would move my head in slow motion. I couldn't touch my nose. You know, it was incredible. On the way to India, on the plane, with air condition, I got a cold. I suffer very much the air condition. Now going to Kenya, I also got a cold because of the air condition of the plane. But imagine to get a cold with the broken bone of your nose. Sometimes, so the other, I had to blow my nose. And the pain was unbearable. I cannot describe the pain. I was thinking, who was I in my last life that I have to pay this karma? Anyway, I reached the ashram. I didn't have any black. Sometimes it turns black below the eye. But I was so stiff. First darshan, Swami came. I was sitting not in the veranda at that time. Swami came to me and said, where did you come? Just now. Go. The most beautiful word in his mouth. Interview. I didn't tell him anything. The only thing I always do, I try to do when I had an interview with him, is to sit as close as possible from him. So I sat near his chair and he was talking to all of us, and suddenly he looked at me, and before I could do anything, he stretched his hand and got hold of my nose. I couldn't go. I had no time to go back or to scream. He got hold of my nose and started to shake my head for 15 or 20 seconds, so violently. First of all, he grabbed my nose so tight, and then like that. I didn't feel anything. I only thought he's going to take my nose out of my face. But then after 15 or 20 seconds, he released me, and he continued talking with the other people. And when I stopped shaking, my head stopped moving, I realized that my bone was completely healed and my cold was completely gone. This is Swami. This is Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. I think I don't know how much time I have. Krishna, do I have some more minutes or? Well, anyway, I will take some more minutes. I want to share with you.
Yeah, Leonardo, you have 10 more minutes.
Okay, thank you, Narendra.
10 to 12.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to share these are experiences that come to my mind, and I perhaps I didn't share with you before. There was a doctor in Guatemala. When he finished his career, he was sent to do his residency in a small town in the middle of the jungle, almost, in Guatemala. So he went there with a jeep, and on the way to that place, the jeep was broken, and he couldn't turn it on again. And he was waiting and waiting, and no other car came. It was getting dark. He was scared. He decided to leave the jeep and walk to find some house, some place. He started to walk, and it got dark. And suddenly he heard some noises, and there was a group of natives, completely drunk, holding machetes and screaming. And he thought that his life was in danger. And he asked God for help. And at that moment, another jeep came. In all those hours, no car came at all. At that moment, another jeep came and stopped by his side and told him, come in. And took him directly to the town he had to go. Not only to the town he had to go, he left him in the house he was supposed to go. When he got off the jeep, he said, please let me give you something, let me pay for your help. And the driver didn't accept anything at all. So this doctor said, well, at least tell me your name. And the driver said, I'm your midnight friend, and left. Many, many years later, I think 15 or 20 years later, that doctor, who became an important doctor in Guatemala, saw in a bookstore the picture of the driver in the cover of a book, and it was Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba, his midnight friend. This is, Swami, we are not aware of all the miracles that are happening in so many places all the time. But Swami not only did that while he was in his physical body, but he's doing that constantly. So we need to really understand how fortunate we are to have God as our guru, as our master, as the one who will always protect and guide us. I would like to share another story with my first dream of Swami that you might have heard it. You know, when I was in that Raja Yoga organization, being the vice president, I heard about Swami. I don't know how I heard about him, but I heard his name. I heard that they said that he was an avatar. But I was in another organization. But the idea came to my mind. And I was thinking, who is the avatar? Because in that organization, they also believe in another avatar who has not a physical form, but sometimes materialize himself. Anyway, I thought, who is the real one? And one night I had a dream, my first dream with Swami. And in the dream, I was in a room with 7, 8 more people. And suddenly Swami came in. And when he came in, I did like that. I was surprised because I was not a devotee at that time, but so I was really surprised of myself doing this. And then he came to Alsace, and I thought, well, if he's the avatar, I would have to feel something special when he is close to me. And when he came close to me, I had the most incredible experience. Energy started to raise from my feet to my head. But as this wave of energy was raising, I felt that each cell of my body was bursting. You know, like when you put water to boil and the water boils and the bubble explodes. I felt that in each centimeter of my body. And when this cell exploded, I felt bliss. But I didn't feel bliss in my head or in my heart. I felt bliss in my ankle, in my knee, in every part of my body. And there was one wave of energy, and there's the second wave of energy, and then the third wave of energy. And with this third wave of energy touched my knee, I felt my equilibrium, I fell to the floor. And at that moment, I was inside a dead body. I was completely dead. I couldn't move anything. I was fully aware, fully conscious inside the dead body. And at that time, Swami was finishing his round and ready to leave. And I couldn't speak because I was dead. But with all my heart, in my heart, I said, you are God, you are God, you are God. And then he turned, instead of leaving, came to me, raised my dead body, and gave me 3 kisses in my heart. And I woke up from that dream. I woke up from the material dream to this spiritual dream. That's why I'm here talking to you now, because he kissed my heart 3 times to wake me up. He might have done the same thing to you. That's why you are there now listening to this talk. That's why we are so lucky, because maybe you don't remember that. Maybe it happened in another life, in another dream, in another life. But we have all received the divine touch. Dear brothers and sisters, really life is to implement Swami's teachings. And I want to share one more story before finishing. I was in the ashram at the beginning of the Sathya organization in Argentina. And we were 7 people in a room having a discussion about how to continue the Sai movement in Argentina, what to do. We were very few. In that room in the ashram, we were 7. I had a point of view, the other 6 had another point of view. And I was firm because I thought I was right. After 30 or 40 minutes, I thought, we are not going nowhere. And I asked Swami, Swami, what should I do? Should I shut up my mouth and give 1 step backwards, or I should continue insisting on my position? The moment I asked Swami about that, the brother sitting in front of me said, Leonardo, you should shut up your mouth and give 1 step backwards. I heard Swami's voice in his mouth. I did that. And I realized that the most important thing in this organization is unity, because unity is what will bring us all together forward. This organization is 3 things for me. It's a hospital where Swami has brought us to cure us of the most important disease, the ignorance of our true self, of our own reality. It's also a school where he has come to give us the most important curriculum, the most incredible, as I said before, teachings of practical spirituality, where everything is there. Is the service, bhakti, wisdom, all what we need is in this school. We are brought into the Sai centers to go through this curriculum and to advance in our awakening. And also the Sai centers are a training camp where we are brought to face our brothers and sisters, and each one is a polishing stone of the other. So we have to see if we react from our ego or from love, in any situation. So we have to really take advantage of this opportunity that Swami gave us when he founded the Sri Sathya Sai International Organization. He gave us a place where we can heal, where we can learn, where we can see if we are really advancing in our spiritual life. So I hope that each day, each one of us will be a better instrument in the divine hands, and we will show Swami's message through our words, through our feelings, through our actions. We'll feel this love in our hearts. We'll express this in our smiles, in the radiance of our eyes. Dear brothers and sisters, I feel a lot of love for all of you. I appreciate very much this opportunity, and I hope that tonight you will feel the divine kiss in your hearts. Jai Sai Ram.